and what they want to do. He kind of like shines on both anyway.
And right now we're dealing with Aster against Royal Never Give Up. Royal Never Give Up, of course, is Monet Setsu Flyby, aka Flywin now, September, and Super. Super, the 2-position Super, not the 5-position Super that was very prevalent in China before. But I'm looking at this draft and I'm looking at the rosters. And I think they might have forgot to put it into the mode that allows it to be their esports name or whatever. And it might make it a little tougher to call the game, but at the end of the day, it should be okay. But Aster, of course, SCCC in that safe lane, Xuan, not the IG Xuan, in the mid lane XSS Bobica. It still lists Bobica as the 4, but he's, I think, since taken a backseat to Fade, who is in the 4 these days, because they did start out as Bobica in the 4 and Fade was in the 5, but it's swapped over.
I cannot tell you how happy I was about that change, by the way, because Fade playing position 4, they look like a completely different team. They look so good when he was playing 4 again, like in comparison to what they were when they first started again. Because I'm pretty sure when this roster first started again this whole season, right, they looked pretty underwhelming, from what I can remember. So it was nice to see them make that adaptation, make that change.
So, we go into this first game between Aster and Royal Never Give Up. We go into the first draft with the first bans, as it's Lich, Phoenix, Void Spirit, Lycan for Team Aster, and then Death Prophet, Wisp, Timber from Royal Never Give Up. Was it with you that we, or at least in that first best of 3, we saw Monkey King just constantly getting banned out? And I believe throughout that night I saw a lot of Monkey King bans.
Yeah, I think it seems to be a big flavor there. Like it does well against a lot of the other core heroes at the moment, I think, as well, that are being picked up. Like you see all the ones that are banned out at the moment, the Voice Spirits, the Lycans. It does okay against both of those, especially in the laning stage. So I think it's just it can play that really quick tempo. It's got so much maneuverability around the map. That hero is pretty bonkers.
It's always interesting to see the changes in drafts or the changes in ban priorities from CIS or EU to even just China, because going from Pushka going like to this, or like earlier in the day when I'm watching a Russian team play or these teams play, like it just seems like the priorities are completely different, and it's so nuts how much the meta is actually different right now between the 2 regions, or 3 regions, I guess.
I find it amazing that people still end up first face banning Phoenix after all the nerfs. Like that hero's still really good. It's like his laning stage is nowhere near as good as it used to be, obviously, but the fact that it's still getting first face banned is such a testament to how good the hero was, and still is.
So DK gets picked up here, and last night DK got picked like 3 or 4 times during my time casting throughout the night, and he lost like every single game.
Oh, really?
Or that might have been even a mix of the EU CIS that I was covering. But in the LGD Aster series, the DK lost in the first game and the DK lost in the third game, and it's just not shown to be this amazing hero that it was, or as I've been looking at it. It feels like teams have kind of figured it out a little bit more, and it's always a staple of the Chinese region anyway. It's one of those safer picks, but at least right now it's kind of moving around and who's picking it and who's going where with it.
I really like this opening by RNG though. I think this Grimstroke DK is one of my favourites at the moment, especially when they first face Pango as well. Like Grimstroke makes that hero's game so hard, just with the Soulbind on the Rolling Thunder. And then, you obviously have the double Dragon Tail with the Soulbind as well, which is really strong. But also when DK picks up that Blink, and then the big thing is that you can pop the Inkswell on him, and then he blinks in, stuns, and then has the follow-up Inkswell stun afterwards as well. And there's just a whole lot of damage that comes through. I think those 2 heroes like really enable each other well. Shadow Shaman's an interesting one though. I find it really interesting. I have for a long time that this region seems to value Shadow Shaman so much more than every other region.
Yeah, that's definitely the facts.
I have no idea why, because I feel like it's a decent hero, but it's been such a standard thing. Like if I ever pick Shadow Shaman in a pubs, me and my friends were like, "Oh, it's like Chinese Shadow Shaman," because they're the only region that ever picks it in pro games. And I think it should be explored more in EU and CIS. But I'm a big fan of that hero personally. Do you know who I'm not a big fan of though, even though I love playing the hero, is Morana. I think this
I
hero's not
I don't know.
not as strong as it used to be, and
I love the Mirana. I
unless it's
think
core Morana,
it's
dude, that's fun.
well, it's usually for Mirana, and I will tell you that the person who's been playing that Mirana the best so far in the Chinese region, because he was picked up a lot in the CDA season, was Kaka on IG. He plays Mirana so well. It seems like it becomes this ultra impactful hero. So like that's the hero, the way the hero is meant to be played. Like Kaka will completely just destroy with this Mirana, and we'll see how Royal Never Give Up are going to play it if September is going to be rolling around with it. But I think it's one of those heroes that has to be active early and kind of have a good start to feel impactful throughout the game.
Well,
I don't know if
that's
you
the
agree with
thing.
that.
Yeah, I mean 100%. Because I mean, I would assume it's going to be September playing it as well, right? Like you're assuming it's going to be a four. Um, But the thing is, you either hit arrows or you miss arrows. Like that, there's no in between. There's no fine line. Like you either hit an arrow and you are successful, and you miss it, and then your hero feels useless, because that's just that's just the way it goes, unfortunately. And if you're good at hitting arrows, then you're always going to look good, I think. So the reason why I don't mind the hero being picked still is because if you see a good Morana, it means they've played well still. Like they've hit arrows, they've done made good movements across the map. Um, Tree Picker though is really interesting for me. Secures the Pango's lane a little bit as well with the living armor, because I feel like that Pango has a little bit of a weak laning stage a lot of the time. Also means that their two supports are like super chunky. They have big hitting heroes.
Yeah,
So
they've got this Pangolier that's going to be secured in the 3 with the Shadow Shaman and Treant Protector picked. I mean, this is certainly heroes that can really harass you in some hard ways, because I don't know if it still holds true, but Shadow Shaman was like the second highest base damage in the game or third highest base damage in the game, and now they've got Treant Protector, who I think is number 1 or something like
he
that.
is number one.
Yeah, so it's Treant Protector at number 1. I think Shadow Shaman's either 2 or 3, or
Correct.
it
I
used
think
to
he
be
might
2
be
or
number
3.
three. I'm not sure, but I think he's number 3. Oh, okay. I mean, this Naga's going to have an absolute free laning stage. He's laning up against Beastmaster Morana, and he has like 8 armor at the start of the game, with a Triad Protector sitting with him, with living armor. Like, how does this guy not farm this game? I assume this is SCCC's hero as well.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
Like, they don't do any damage at all on RNG side in terms of like a magical department, apart from like Inkswell and Stroke, right? So this Naga has a completely free game at the moment. They have no way of dealing with illusions either. So I think this is a really strong pick by Aster. I haven't seen a massive amount of Naga recently in any pro games that I've cast. So always nice to see something a little bit different for me personally.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a more popular pick here in China. Maybe Royal Never Give Up swap their lanes around a little bit. DK swaps over, or Beastmaster goes over. Because, like you said, Naga should have a pretty easy time in this lane, especially with the Treant Protector. So we'll see if maybe they want to move something around, or get a better matchup for Royal Never Give Up.
I don't know, because the thing is, even if they put the DK in that lane, DK doesn't stop her farming either. DK is probably worse. Like, Beastmaster at least can hit her with boars and things and try and annoy her a little bit, but this DK has such a passive laning stage that it doesn't really do anything anyway. They need to ban some like super game winning hero from on Aster. Yeah. Okay, Storm's good. They don't have amazing lockdown. They have Shaman, but it's not necessarily reliable because the Storm will just jump the Shaman every single fight first. So they're assuming it's going to be safe lane DK as well, which I think is the right call.
I like Aster's team fight too. Like I think they really set up well to get like a Song into an Overgrowth, or even Pangolier moving through with the Rolling Thunder. Like it's very disruptive, and now it's even going to get worse for Royal Never Give Up. Like Ember mid Searing Chains or Shackles, especially Shadow Shaman when he gets the extra cast range and gets an Aether Lens if that's the direction he wants to go. Maybe gets a keen optic, or it gets that far into the game where he's got a telescope. He's just doing things from, game 2.
Ooh.
Well, Shrek comes in, and that was one of those heroes that I was thinking of when you were talking about magic damage and all that. And now with Shrek should be over in the mid lane, and it will be Super on the Grimstroke, Monet in that safe lane, Dragonite, Flyby on the Beastmaster, or Flywind, excuse me, September on the Mirana. So that leaves Setsu to play on that with Shrek.
I really like that pick. I think that's a really good last pick. They need some like BKB hero that can just run in, kill illusions. Lesh and Ember are the two heroes that tend to be the ones that deal with illusions. As like a standard. And it also fits really well with the tempo of the game they want to play. Like they have this DK Beastmaster where they can run down, mow down towers, get a Roche maybe, and just try and transition it into a really early pushes, because they need to try and fight before this Naga comes online. They have the Edict, they have the DK form to be able to push as well, like the Beastmaster Aura. The only thing I'm not sold on is this Mirana pick, and I really hope I get proven wrong, because, seeing a good Mirana always feels really cool. But I think Aster's lineup is easier to execute, because, I don't know, I think they all just press R, and that's it. Time to go.
It certainly feels like it could be a lineup that does stuff a little bit earlier. I would say at level 6, especially for like Ember, maybe if he's moving around the map a little bit more, they have the opportunities with, say, a Shackle as well as a Hex, or going in with Rolling Thunder and doing things around the map when these heroes start to hit that level 6 mark for the side of Aster. But we'll see. I mean, the same can be said with Royal Never Give Up. To go in with Primal Roar, to have the Pulse Nova going, like, both these teams I feel like can do things early on in the game. It's just a question of who gets more done, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Prepare for
I
battle.
think the team that can get more done is definitely going to be this dire side with RNG. But I think it's a tough one. I'm personally really interested to see what September builds on this Mirana in terms of items, because if they want to hit this early timing with their push, they're probably going to want like a pipe of some sorts, and they're going to want a Vlad's, and they're going to want like just a few like team items that allow them to be a little bit more tanky and sustain a push. So he might even go like mech or something as well, would be pretty good, I think. But they need just a way of sustaining themselves throughout this, this poke damage that's going to be coming out from Aster's side, with like Sleight of Fist, with Swashbuckle. There's going to be Ether Shocks as well from the Shaman. I want to see how the Beastmaster and the Mirana itemize between them to deal with that.
We'll see how that kind of progresses here. I'm trying to just keep an eye on who's who, because without the names, I'm trying to figure everything out, and it's just kind of stressful to remember who's where. Because I'm looking at everything. Fades on the Shadow Shaman, which he used to play for Vici a lot. Like, Fade Shadow Shaman, I feel like was a staple of their lineup.
Yeah, he loved that hero, and I'm going Boots first. I think it's the pretty like standard play, right? There's nothing too crazy about that. When you're laning against the Grimstroke, you've got to be a little bit wary about the regen that you're going to be using in the lane.
The battle begins.
Can just kind of click the DK down with his 74 base damage, even though the DK's a tanky hero, which is where the boots will come in handy.
74, Jesus.
Also, really unsure about this Radiant mid ward. Oh, actually, okay, no, never mind. I was going to say they need a ward to spot the Mirana, but they do have one on the bot side of the map as well. I think that's really important to see September moving. Otherwise, he kind of just does whatever he wants, right? And so they need to be able to track him and all his movements this game.
Do you think Fade has to mirror Mirana's movements?
No.
Not necessarily, I don't think. It's going to be a really difficult kill for them in the middle lane, I think, with Shaman and Ember. Until like Shaman hits maybe level 3 or so. 1 point in Shackles is nice, but it's not a huge amount of lockdown. 2.75 seconds is decent. But I think the second point with the big damage increase is the big thing.
Yeah, it's 100 extra damage on the second level of Shackle, or just 60 on the Ether Shock if you go to level 2 on that. Combine that with, say, potentially Ember going into a Searing Chains. I know that Embers over mid have sometimes elected to skip Searing Chains for a while, go strictly into just the Sleight of Fist as well as the Flame Guard. So I'm interested to see Schwan and what he's gonna go to over in this mid lane up against the Leshrac of Setsu.
Hey, Setsu seems to be doing a decent job that moment. 4 denies on that Lesh already. He's playing really well.
Picks himself up a 5th. So trying to keep an eye on where September's looking to go, but Bobica already kind of mirroring him. You know, he's going all the way over towards mid. He wants to keep an eye on this Mirana, who's only level 1, so still just has himself that arrow. But you do have the living armor early on, so it might be the difference maker.
I think he just stole some. Did he just steal some of the XP? Maybe he didn't. But yeah, he just cancels the clarity straight away. This is really good, and I understand why he's like chasing the Miranas, because we talked about how this Naga doesn't care about being hit by the Beastmaster in lane, right? So if the Naga's allowed to be put in a 1v1 against the Beastmaster, she should be really happy. So if the tree just chases the Mirana around, like it solidifies their lane so much.
Radiant's courier
nice courier
has
kill
been
there.
killed.
CCC losing his courier.
I feel like that should have probably been called out. I'll be honest. Like, the tree has seen this Mirana walking all the way from mid lane the whole time, and they've not made the connection that the courier is coming out at the same time.
8 armor right now for SCCC. That's a disgusting amount. Like, I feel like early game that is just a lot. Like, what are you doing? Well, what, like you said, what is the Beastmaster doing to this Naga Siren?
Top lane.
Top, they'll take a look. They've got the Inkswell out. Fade on the run. Breathe Fire was there, but they're trying to get this kill. XSS looking over at the Grimstroke. They've got DK, who doesn't have enough mana for the Dragon Tail at the moment. He's got 2 charges in the wand. Ether Shot comes in, but there's the Dragon Tail out on a fade.
Oh, what a disarm.
Gets the kill on a super before they do end up losing Fade. It'll be 1 for 1. However, First Blood goes the way of this Pangolier.
What a stick disarm from the Pango, allowing them to get first blood first. That was, well, I say that. Well, there's obviously only one first blood, but you get my point. Yeah, I mean, the problem with this is like the Pango normally has a really weak laning stage, right? And the hero's not massively amazing. But,
just harassing this DK. It's not. He's only at half health right now with the Dragon Tail out, but you can just see what. They're forcing out his mana, making sure he won't have much. Obviously, he's got himself a Soul Ring, so he'll constantly have enough for the Breathe Fire, but I mean, they're really making him work for it at the moment.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I was gonna say this Pango normally has a really weak laning stage, right? Because it's just not the best hero in lane. But he's not really being punished this game because DK has such a passive, like, laning phase himself that it's like he can't really bully the Pango out. They kind of just both farm, which Pango's gonna be so happy about. Like, if this guy manages to get any decent start to a game, he's normally like insanely happy.
Ooh, and they get the kill there on the Leshrac.
What?
Over mid, a solo kill for Schwan. And it ends up making it 2-1. One of the things I also wanted to note was the fact that September's just going around using that arrow to kind of clean up the biggest creeps in these camps.
Amazing what you found.
And he steals a bounty rune as well.
Dire's middle tower is under
Cheeky
attack.
man.
So it takes one of the Hellbears and then just leaves that camp to be what it is. I feel like we're going to see him potentially do that again onto this Wild Wing, but...
I love the
now
tree
June.
jungling as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 94 damage to do that with, and the Nature's Grasp down on these neutrals.
Mid
Like,
lane.
it's not the worst thing in the world. And now over mid once again, Leshrac, who just dropped, is dead for the second time. He came back to lane, fades over there, and Schwan gets the kill.
That double death really sucks. Like, as a mid laner or any laner, when you die, you TP back to a lane again, you just die again straight away. It feels so bad.
Oh, Mirana. Now they've got the Shackle. The damage is pretty heavy, and slight double leap just to leave. I mean, this is such an aggressive mid. There's 3 heroes mid at 6 minutes.
But this is the thing, right, that I'm talking about. They can't pressure the Naga in the laning stage because they have a Beastmaster who's only physical damage, and they have a Mirana that's just running around, like, trying to snipe creeps. And in the top lane, there's a DK against the Pango. Like, what do they do? They can't 100 to 0 the Pango, so he's always just going to be able to swashbuckle away. So they don't need help in the side lanes on this Radiant side. They can just, it allows their supports to like free up movement around the map and do whatever they want. And now Shaman's level 4 at 6 minutes into the game. This Beastmaster has to be so careful, and Fade's just everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, he comes in with the axe as well as the Shackle. Mirana coming through. Will get the Primal Roar as well as the Starstorm out on a Fade, but he's being healed up by the Stream Protector, not the Nature's Prophet. Now the Naga Siren throwing those illusions towards this Mirana, and Fade's gonna pop us out. So Hex comes in, Axe is thrown forward. They don't hit Fade, and all the while up towards top, Rolling Thunder is gonna be popped here by XSS. Sleight of Fist comes through. The Inkswell does stun up Xuan for a moment. He's got that Remnant under the tier 1 tower. The Rolling Thunder finally hits here on a Super to get the kill onto the Grimstroke, and now Searing Chains, damage being dealt onto Monet, and they'll force a rotation from September over top.
Yeah, I love this play by... Is it Chuan or is it Chun? How do you say it?
I thought it was Xuan.
Chuan,
But like,
yeah.
not like Xuan, but I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to get as close as I can.
We'll say Chuan, but if somebody corrects us, we'll change. Yeah, we'll settle on that.
Always flexible.
I really like that rotation by him up to the top lane because he's trying to play with the catapult waves as well. So like he wants to be able to get a kill, push in the wave, and do damage to a tower. But September's ready on this Mirana. Just TPs in and kills off the catapult instantly with arrow, which is definitely what you need to be doing as Mirana, making sure you defend all your tier 1s from those spooky catapult waves. And the DK's actually rotated bot. They really want to try and push here.
Mirana? They've got a Remnant going forward, and there's the Searing Chains. They'll look to get the kill into the Mirana. They'll finally find it. XSS ends up getting himself onto a killing spree.
It's such an even game though at the moment, like overall in terms of like farm distribution between the cores. There's like a 300 difference between the guy in first and the guy in 6th. Like all 6 cores are just on such a similar level. With the Necrobook on the Beastmaster. Yeah, it's so easy, right? Like DK TP's bot.
Shrek needs to be very careful. Oh god, a third death would be just stymieing here. They get the kill on a Fade. They take out Xuan. Setsu, he ends up with 2. I talked about how maybe his third death would be devastating, but instead he just walks away with a triple kill.
Insane. I mean, they tried to go all in on the Lesh, but he managed to kind of like bounce between the end of the Rolling Thunder bits and not get hit. Like he was dodging them. It was just a little bit of an awkward place to have a Rolling Thunder, because there's no like instant knockbacks from the way that he was charging in, unfortunately. And you're gonna see them really up the tempo now on this RNG side, because they have these 3 cores that can all come online and push now. And so I feel like whenever DK forms up, it's like their time to go. That Faded Brooch is so good on the Naga actually as well.
Denied.
But they did get the Royal Jelly here for the Leshrac, and you saw the update to the 7.26C?
Well, I'll tell you a story about that. I woke up 45 minutes before we had to cast and saw there was a patch. So I've read about half of it before we got to go online. But anybody whose hero begins after like M, just don't ask me any questions, okay?
Well, I was just noticing the Royal Jelly, because I think it was you yesterday who said Phantom Lancer doesn't like Royal Jelly. Might have even been nerfed, but it was that got that change, and I was just like, oh yeah, okay. We just talked about this yesterday.
Thank God. It was so horrible.
So 2,000 net worth lead right now for the side of Royal Never Give Up.
Oh yeah, on a side note, the other thing I really like that they changed Illusion Escape, so if you switch it out then the illusion dies. That was such a needed change. But it does make the item a lot worse.
From what you've read so far, what do you think is the biggest impact?
Oh, are you ready for this? Doom Cleave going up from 140% to 150% at 25. I genuinely laughed. I thought that was amazing. They're like, guys, 140% cleave isn't enough. How about if we give you another 10%? Will you take the talent now?
What is that on the opposite side of?
Infernal Blade damage, I'm pretty sure.
Remnant forward. Serpent Ward's committed. Got
Nice
the Primal Roar as well as
Soulbind.
the Soulbind. The Soulbind was after the Primal Roar, but the Rolling Thunder comes in. They'll get the kill into Super. Now they look over to finish off Flywin. They'll get themselves a second. Monet shows up to this. Dragon Tail is thrown in at XSS. But nothing to follow that up just yet.
Here comes Lesh, though.
Leshrac probably looking to clean up. Setsu's now here. Misses the stun. And we'll get the kill there on the fade. So a little bit of...
To be fair,
extra kills there.
To be fair, if he'd have hit that stun as Lesh, it has to be like frame perfect up against the Ember. So, yeah, gotta not criticize him too hard, I think.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Service to balance. Not for you.
So, still now going down into a 1,000 net worth lead for Royal Never Give Up.
Oh, you actually put 4 points in Inkswell on the Grimstroke. I normally see
Yeah,
most people kind of like settle on 3, but
I've been seeing that, and I've been seeing a lot of skipping the 6 on Soulbind. He's level 7 now, so I'm not certain if he did it or not.
or if
I don't think he did.
you need to put the 4th point in at level 7, right, on the Inkswell. So I'm assuming he took the ult at 6 and then just went back for the Inkswell at 7 again.
Yeah. But I've been seeing some changes or changes to the build, but it's one of those heroes that I think has
Dire's
very
middle tower
versatile
is under
builds.
attack.
Oh, 100%. I just feel like Inkswell's like his ult, basically. And you can max it out by level 7. So, got to be taking that most of the time, or at least 3 points in it by this point. Top lane, they're looking at this Lesh, but
Song?
they are kind of nearby on like the Mirana and the Grimstroke, but I don't know how much they're going to be able to do here.
They're going to walk in with the Swashbuckle, and Rolling Thunder was started, but I believe there was a stun out onto this Pangolier to start this off. They get the kill there on SCCC. Setsu gets credit for that one. He ends up losing his life, but down goes Xuan, and it's a double kill for Setsu. Meanwhile, the Chase XSS, the damage coming through as well as the Dragon Tail, stuns him up after the Swashbuckle. They'll leap forward. They've got the Moonlight Shadow as well as the Arrow coming in, and now the Phantom's Embrace, so there's no way to Swashbuckle away from this one while it's on, but once he takes it off, he tries to get into the trees with the Swashbuckle as well as the heal from
Dragon Breath
the
and
Tree
Ward.
and Protector. Another Dragon Tail is out, and the Breathe Fire from Monet will finish him off.
It's a really good soulbind by the Grimstroke. I mean, the problem is with these song initiations, like they're really good to set up for kills, but it also buys time for the other team to come in and react to the gank. So you see, I think the DKTP to the top tier 2, I'm pretty sure. And then like the Grimstroke and the Mirana were always within touching distance the whole time of this Lesh. So that by the time the song had finished, there was like 4 heroes on top of them. So, you know, if you go for these song ganks, everybody has to be ready like straight away, I think. You know, they did that really well on RNG there just to protect the Lesh. You know, he does end up going down, but 100% worth it if you kill off the Naga and the Ember.
I will say, though, this is a fight that happened without Overgrowth. I think maybe if you have Overgrowth there, you song and then don't have to hold it that long, set up the Overgrowth and go, but Blink Dragon Tail on the fade, he's hit with the Phantom's Embrace, and the Inkswell pops one more shot from Monet to get the kill.
Grimstroke DK, man. What a combination of heroes, I'm telling you.
Radiant's
These
bottom
guys
tower is under attack.
are everywhere together now.
Amazing what you'll find
This is why you
when
put 4 points in Inkswell when you have a DK on your team.
I'll
Just
take that.
does whatever he wants the whole game.
3.7 second stun is kind of gross.
Oh, he's actually he's going Mules on Mirana, by the way. I completely forgot about this. You know, you're playing against these maneuverable cores like Ember and Pango. So if you can have the Yule set up into the instant arrow when they land, then, you know, very good item choice by September, I think. They are going to try and take this mid tier 1, but the 4 points in living armor are going to make it like so impossibly difficult.
Radiant's middle
They have
tower
the
is
edicts, so
under
they have a
attack.
decent amount of damage, but
Radiant
they're going to need more
structures
people
are
here if they want to be able
fortified.
to take this.
So we'll start going, but there's that heal continuing from the Tree and Protector.
Yeah, here comes
Still
the
sitting here
Beastmaster.
level 7.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Let's see what they can do. Meanwhile,
Voice
Dragon
the
Tail,
pros.
the Inkswell comes out onto the Tree and Protector. They'll get the kill there on a Bobica. They've used the Moonlight Shadow to chase the rest of the side of Team Aster. They look over for the Pangolier. The Primal Roar comes in. Sleight of Fist not going to be enough from Xuan. And now with 2 gone, they really need to start to run, but they can't get far enough away from this RNG side. Fade ends up dead to Setsu with the Blink Dragon Tail coming out from Monet. They are locking down these heroes and overwhelming the side of Team Aster.
And they managed to keep the catapult alive as well with the glyph. That was really well played. So now the death ball just starts. Here we go. They have Lesh, DK, Beastmaster cores. I feel like the start of this game went really poorly for this Aster side. They made a couple too many mistakes in the early fights. And when you're playing against these 3 cores that all have this really quick timing in the DK, Beastmaster, Lesh, these small mistakes that you make in the early stages of the game are going to like get blown out of proportion. They're going to be able to make the most out of absolutely nothing.
Oh god, they've found SCCC. They get the kill. Oh my.
Ouch.
That is not what you need to see if you're Team Aster, and this is looking like RNG's game to give up. They just push so quickly.
They have a Van Brace on the Beastmaster as well. Well, this guy's going to be so tanky now because of it. They could give it to the DK or the Lesh as well if they really want to. Depends what tier 2 items they get, I guess. Yeah, DK's going to take the Aquila. Talking about, trying to push for early timings, getting a nice little early Aquila is always pretty good. That extra bit of armor for everybody.
Radiant's top tower
is,
is under attack.
A real rough start for Aster. What's their game plan here?
I'm not sure, and the game plan for Aster is that they need to just keep splitting the map up, right? Like, they have these 3 really maneuverable cores that can push out lanes. They just have to keep cutting waves, just make sure that RNG aren't allowed to take towers for free. Like, they have this tree enter protector as well, so they can keep them alive for a relatively long time. There's an Essence Ring, by the way, which is going to be a lovely Lesh item.
Yules? Frame perfect? No.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Hoping, that he would be frame perfect. They're looking for an arrow. This is going to be nowhere near the target, but they are certainly searching.
They really need this pipe up on the Pangolier as well. Like, he needs this utility. He's not massively close. He's still relatively far away, especially with the massive increase on the recipe for pipe now. I mean, it's gone up by 400 over a couple of patches. Feels really bad to buy. They've smoked up here. RNG.
Smoked up on both sides. So let's see who comes out on top. RNG heading towards mid. Towards bottom, though, is the side of Team Aster. They've also used Moonlight Shadow with this, so that's always nice to see. As we take a look over mid, Treant Protector in trouble, and he ends up dead.
No.
Soulbind comes in as well as Primal Roar. Onto the high ground, though, is the Pangolier, who is locked up and in trouble. They try to at least get the kill on a Super, which they finally will find, but they've already lost Pobica and SCCC. And Dragon Tail, as well as the extra damage coming in from Setsu and the rest of the squad. They'll get the kill there on the Fade. They're looking for a 4th. They look over at XSS. They'll make it a 4th. Triple kill again for Setsu. And that puts him at 10, 3, and 1. And that was, what, with an 0-3 start?
Yeah, I mean, he had a really rough start, but the way they've just played this map so aggressively has been amazing. And if you look at the wards on the high ground they dropped at the start of that fight, they just have complete control of all the vision, like that whole time on the Dire side. It was really well played, and the Soulbind managed to catch up the Pangolier just before he started his Rolling Thunder, so he didn't even get anything off. And just increases into the double Roar as well. They have double Dragon's Tail if they want it. I was really surprised they didn't just instantly try and go to the Roche pit there, but I guess they just want to keep pressuring the map. Their lineup doesn't take Roche particularly well. They kind of just want to take towers more than anything.
Loaded to the gills.
Bounty.
This is now already an 11,000 net worth lead. What does this Naga have? Not even the Diffusal yet. I mean, I meant Manta first, but you'd love to maybe see this Naga Siren have a bit more. Again, they'll look for the Ember.
Yeah, they want to go top.
They're trying for it. Arrow doesn't land either.
I feel like if the Lesh had been slightly more patient there and wait for the Morana to come in, they might have actually killed him with the Yules into the arrow. But it's so easy to say that, but you don't know how long the Ember's going to stay there.
Rolling Thunder. Beastmaster's getting hit, but this is really just for the Pangolier to leave.
Yeah. He has to disengage, unfortunately.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
I honestly think they need to just try and skip waves on this Radiant side now. They need to be able to cut waves as far as they can, like with Naga illusions and things. They need to be sending them mid. They need to be... Like, the Naga needs to be controlling 2 lanes at once with the illusions and cutting them in. Yeah, like, you see Fade drawing on the map. He's like, guys, we need to, like, shove waves in. Like, they're pushing in bot. This is...
Radiant's bottom
Like, if we can just push 2 lanes and back the other way at the same time, we're just going to buy ourselves more time.
Dire's structures are fortified.
So we'll go for the tier 2 tower over bottom. We still have a tier 1 and tier 2 standing top. Definitely a lane you might be maybe want to look to push out, as that's exactly like you said, that Faded pointed towards. And they're going to grab this tier 2 tower. Nobody coming to rotate or defend it.
I think they just keep going though, yeah. Like, DK popped Arcane Rune before he used ult as well. So, like, he's going to have this ult up again in 30 seconds. And it's not even finished on the first duration yet.
They really need to make something happen, but it's a TP right into the Dragon Tail. Soulbind comes in, Stroke of Fate hits, and they've got themselves the Star Storm and the damage from September to get the kill. They'll drop the Serpent Wards, Overgrowth through. Monet finally drops, but look at the damage that Setsu is doing. They get that kill on a Fade. They look over at Chuan. He's trying to run, but the Primal Roar is there, so they'll line that up with all the extra damage that they've got to get the kill onto the Ember. And I mean, they are really starting to dismantle these Aster heroes. However, they'll send back Setsu because these creeps are pushing in over top, so they don't get a tier 3.
Aster just playing so sloppy though. Like, I don't understand why the Pango just... Like, the Lesh is, like, waiting there on the high ground, right? Oh, sorry, the DK is. And he's, like, waiting for this Pangolier TP to finish. And Pango's like, yeah, I'll just TP here. Into this, like, onto this tower where they're pushing. It's absolutely fine. Don't worry. Like, they managed to get the DK kill because he didn't pop BKB before they started to chain lock him down. I actually think if he'd have just popped BKB when he went on that Pangolier straight away, that fight, they would have been able to take the racks. Like, but the fact he just goes from 100 to 0 before he can pop it is really sad for that DK. They just need to keep this Naga farming on Aster. Get as much as they can. Because when that Diffuser Blade comes out, you know, he is going to be a pain. The problem is that no matter how big the Naga gets this game, like, they have Lesh. So they have a hero that can deal with the illusion spam from SCCC.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've said his name without saying yes, Triple C. Felt like I went on forever.
I say it both ways.
Do you? Oh.
Yeah, SCCC and SCCC. I think it depends on what's going to flow better. I don't really make the decision. My brain does the work for me.
DK's popped ult form, by the way, and they're not going to get anything for this. They kind of just want to see who's defending high ground here. And if anybody jumps the Lesh, they just turn instantly with the DK stun.
At least they'll try. The Nature's Grasp is laid down. They've got themselves a Spirit Vessel onto the Leshrac for now. They'll go after the tier 3 tower, but it's being healed up by the Tree Protector. CCC. He's got the BKB, Boots of Travel, as well as the bottle to regen up a little bit here as they finally get the tier 3 tower and they break the high ground. Aster, though, they are sitting and potentially waiting to move in on this.
Yeah, massive tier 3 kill. Yeah, when you're playing against Tree Protector, it's always really important to make sure you actually finish off those buildings that you're chipping away at. Because otherwise, you know, they just end up being full HP again by the time you next come for your push.
Surprised that they haven't gone Feroce yet on the side of the Dire.
Yeah, I mean, they can, but like, it doesn't do it. They don't really do it very well, right? Like, they don't have a hard right clicker. Beastmaster kind of amps everybody else up, which is nice. But it takes them a long time to kill Roche. And in the time they're taking Roche, that means Aster can farm, like, freely, right? So instead of taking Roche, they just want to keep the pressure up on the map.
Invisibility.
Bloodstone finished for Setsu. Setsu,
So tanky.
top of the net worth by a ton of gold.
He's so tanky. I'm really surprised they didn't give him the Essence Ring, by the way. He's just decided to keep this Arcane Ring instead. Maybe he feels like he wants the extra bit of armor, but even so, like, seems really weird to me.
And Grimstroke holding on to the Essence Ring right now.
Maybe they just feel like the Grimstroke's more important to keep alive in the fights because of how much he's been doing.
Find the Beastmaster. They've got the Serpent Wards down as well as the Rolling Thunder coming in, but the BKB's been popped by the Beastmaster. They get the Cone of Fate. They've thrown the Primal Roar out onto XSS. Swashbuckle to try and get some distance between him and Setsu. He'll look for the TP out, but the stun is in time, and Setsu will get the kill on XSS. An aggressive move from Aster that they end up paying for.
I love that Setsu could have walked around the corner and used him, but instead he decided to make the cool play and blind split earth him instead. That was cute.
Look at how they just ripped through that tower. 20,000 net worth lead.
I mean, these guys
Disgusting,
are so
man.
fine from.
Radiant's top tower.
Yeah, I honestly think like this game just spiraled out of control so early on. Like it was the little mistakes early on that lost them this game more than anything, because they just lost the map so quickly afterwards. And they are actually taking Roche a lot quicker than I thought they would.
While that's happening, they'll find the Grimstroke. They do get the kill there, but I mean that buys them enough time to get this Aegis.
Your Shan has fallen to the dark.
Yeah, that's really sad as well because he has Song on Naga, right? So if you can get into the pit quickly enough, you can stop them from taking the Roche and just snatch the Aegis for yourself. But, just a little bit too slow on the Aster side. DK had Mjolnir queued up before, by the way, and I was going to make a point before there was a fight started out before that I feel like this AC would have just been better, so I'm really glad he went back for it instead of the Mjolnir.
He bought the Hyperstone first, which was what gave him options.
Yes, yeah. Like the AC is just super good for allowing them to hit this timing that they've hit this game. Like the buildings are going to melt quicker now because Edict's physical damage as well, so the AC amps up the Edict damage too.
Radiant's bottom barracks are under
Into the Elder Dragon form.
Radiant's
Level 3 now.
Let's see what they can get out of this. Once the glyph is up, they rip through the range racks, they go over the melee racks, and those are looking like those are going to drop just as quickly. Tree's taken out near the racks too, so that'll force back Bobica. Unable to stay as forward as maybe he would like. The stun hits on the XSS. They've got the arrow to follow it up. Now the blink coming through as well as the Moonlight Shadow being popped by the Mirana. Song. KB was popped by Setsu. Nice. They've got him surrounded with the Serpent Wards. Is this going to be good enough, though? They've got the Yules, and now Setsu trying to output as much damage as he can. The Soulbind as well as the Primal Roar hitting onto both these heroes. They pop themselves the Aegis. They're trying to get the damage out onto the Ember Spirit, but he remnants away and gets himself some space. They've already used the Primal Roar. They've got themselves Dragon Tail in just 2 seconds. Leshrac, though, continuing to be controlled. They've got the Remnant back onto the Leshrac, where Ember goes into the well to try and heal, but there's the stun on the SCCC. They'll get the kill onto the Naga Siren, who does have buyback and uses it immediately. Now they look over for more. The Side of Fist as well as the Searing Chains hits onto the Mirana, and now they've got him rooted up as well as the Beastmaster. Right in front of him is 3 of these heroes on the side of Aster, and they'll get the kill on a Flywin. So now can they get anything else on the exit? They've already sent Sensu away, and the rest of these heroes are looking gone. Slight, Remnant, Inkswell goes the opposite direction.
Oh, wow.
And he is fast enough to just outrun these heroes, and Fade goes into the trees, but right in the middle of the lane was the Grimstroke.
What a retreat there, actually, as well. Like, the Beastmaster just basically ran in with Inkswell on and gave up his life to make sure the rest of his team got out. And Chuan on December realised that they needed to try and get +1 kills there, so like to make it a better trade for them overall, right? Like they lost a set of racks as well. They need to get as much as they can, but yeah, that Glimmer Cape just keeping Grimstroke alive long enough and just out of sight.
Never refuse good.
The prize is mine.
There was a time that fight, it looked like maybe it was doable there for Aster. Like, despite the fact that they're down by so much, but of course it cost them, like, the song to make that chance even a reality. Because it required the song into the Serpent Wards.
Well, the song was
Well,
so
I say that. Leshrac in trouble. BKB's been popped. They've got the Slight and the damage to kill off Setsu. That's a big kill. Now they look over for the Dragon Knight who goes into the BKB. He's trying to run. The arrow flies through and will hit onto the Ember. Not that they can turn, but they've got... What a job by Fade! He throws down the Serpent Wards. He's got the Shackle out onto the DK. Have they gone in too far, though? There's the Primal Roar as well as the Soulbind that comes out after the Primal Roar. That locks up the Pangolier as well as the Nagasar, and they get the kill on a Monet, but they take out Super on top of it with XSS. So down goes SCCC as he was using that song but couldn't stay alive. He's gone for 90 seconds. He fought back in that previous engagement, and now the Ember is in trouble. He remnants back. And And the Serpent Wards are there to try and get a kill and maybe onto the Mirana, but they will lose the Ember. And he does have buyback to clean up the Serpent Wards and take themselves what seems to be a bit of a victory.
Honestly, not an awful fight for Aster. Like, they managed to kill off the Lesh, they managed to kill off the DK as well, straight away, after he popped his BKB. Yeah, I mean, it's just an absolute mess afterwards. They're just so far behind. Like, if the game was even, that engagement would have been amazing for them. But because they're so far behind at this point, like, it's so difficult for them to win a fight. That was about as good as it can get for them.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
It's so weird seeing it say plus 48 living armor heal. It's such a weird amount. Why can't they just make it 50?
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Everything down by 20%.
Across the board. Next patch, everything down by 6.24%. Just make it weird.
Just stop
everything
market.
up. Although I noticed with this most recent patch, it was a lot of movement speed talents that got nerfed.
Yeah, to be honest, the movement speed talents feel worse as well because of the percentage change to flat movement speed. So where your like base movement speed would have been increased by the talent, and then you would have got extra percentage from the boost of speed, it's now just a flat amount.
Now, Setsu, they're going to have to wait till Roche, right? It seems like RNG, they can fight, but they pull back on those Shrek. Like, he dies again, and they're smoking. Like, I'm worried.
I don't know, because it's easy to say the other way. Like, SCCC still has no buyback from when he used it before as well. So, if you can pick off SCCC, yeah, I think you still play aggressive. You have this massive lead. Like, yeah, he's
Amber
dead.
was used, and Ember, BKB comes out. Ember Spirit trying to run, but nowhere to go. He was silenced as he was out of the sun for a moment, but now they look over at SCCC. They've got the buyback coming out from the Ember. Serpent Wards down. Dragonite pops the BKB. Naga back. Overgrowth through. Setsu locked up. Rolling Thunder comes in, but there's the Soulbind. Arrow flies forward, and they get the kill into the Pangolier as well as Hoboka dead. They get the kill into Setsu, so he is gone for 2 minutes, but Ember jumps into this one, maybe ill-advised as he will drop and is killed by September.
Radiant's middle
Oh,
tower.
they're getting
Dragon Tail, SCCC, now hit with the Stroke of Fate. The damage is there, and he needs to run. He needs to try and survive, but won't, and GG will be called. Even though they lost that Leshrac, they took the rest of the fight with these remaining heroes, and RNG will take game 1.
RNG.
Yeah, really well played, honestly, by RNG. I didn't expect them to be quite so dominating this game. But again, I'll go back to, you know, those early engagements, like the Song top, for example, as well. I think really hurt Aster more than anything. But they weren't afraid to get stuck in RNG. You know, they committed to a lot of fights early on, which is exactly what their heroes do. And we talked about how Naga had a good lane because the Beastmaster couldn't really bully her out, but it kind of works the other way as well, where the Beastmaster had a good start to the game also. And, you know, this Necro 1, as soon as it came online, DK TP's bot with a level 6, and they just take the tier 1 tower straight away. And, like, there's nothing they can do. And when you have this living armor on your team from the Treant Protector, if you can't defend your towers early on, it feels really, really bad. Because you want to be able to keep those towers alive for as long as